sunny spaces, smiling faces, happy places. But every sunny space holds a shadow. Behind every smile are sharp teeth, and every happy place has something sinister lurking just below the surface.
Welcome to We Saw the Devil, the podcast diving deep into the chilling realms of true crime. Join your host Robin as she unravels mysteries that have left investigators baffled and armchair sleuths obsessed. Be forewarned, dear listener. We Saw the Devil is not for the faint of heart. Our unflinching exploration will take you to the darkest corners of the psyche and through the unimaginable depths of human darkness to unearth stark secrets to the harsh light of day. Nothing will be left untouched. Are you ready? Are you sure? We saw the devil.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to We Saw the Devil. As always, this is Robin, and Happy New Year. I don't know if happy is exactly the word that I would use to describe this new year so far. So because of that, I have brought on a very special guest this episode, whom I love and adore, to talk about all of the crazy shit that's going on right now. X.
Hi.
Ha!
Hi. Yes, I am here. Hello. If you could take the world's largest diaper and fill it up with warm, moldy, fully loaded chicken tikka masala, drop that into a dumpster and launch it into the sky and then shoot it with a missile so that hot, rotted food just rained down on everyone for an extended period of time, it still wouldn't be as bad as the first week of 2025.
It's so true. It's so true. This has not been a great time, I think, for most of us. I mean, okay, you have two camps, right? I don't know about you. Well, first of all, let's talk about you, X. I'm verklempt right now, okay? I have known you since I was like 22 or 23 years old.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
You were-
Immediately make the guest feel old.
Oh, I lose, man. I'm not doing well today. I mean, but seriously, I mean, that makes me old too, sir. That also makes me old.
I was thinking about this yesterday. I guess I am an elder Gen X. So, I mean, really, squeaking in. I mean, do your own math. I was born in 69.
I mean, I was born in 84, so I think I'm still considered elder millennial, right?
I think so, yeah. My God, I had the album named after the year you were born. So.
All right, so guys, I'm making my guests feel ancient, so that's cool. Already win one for the day.
This is good. Seriously, this is good. Win me over.
I look forward to you coming back. Oh man. But seriously, so a lot of you know that I used to have a horror podcast way back in the day, and so I met X on I think you wrote for the site, and you came on and guested a couple times, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah. Tell everyone what who are you and what do you do, because you're also a writer.
Yes. Obviously my name is X, which is my middle initial. That's a whole long story. We'll talk about that later, maybe. I co-host a podcast with my wife called Kiss the Goat, which is all about devil movies, and it has recently become more of a radio theater show than a podcast, but it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it, and it's on Patreon. Kiss the Goat podcast on Patreon. I fucking hate Patreon. I have written 7 books, which you can find on Amazon. Look for Jeffery X Martin. That's Jeffery, because of course I had to have 3 syllables in my first name, and I don't know why, but that's how it happens. And I currently write for Biff Bam Pop, which is an entertainment website that's been around for 15, 16 years. And soon you'll be able to read my ramblings on the cultural gutter. And yeah, so I just kind of do a lot of this and that, but it mostly has to do with words.
So talented. Absolutely. I'm going to put some links to X's work in the show notes here. You're going to fall in love with him like I am. and read all of his stuff, because you are, and I have a lot of friends who are writers, but you are so incredibly talented, and I love reading and listening to your insights all the time. And so I'm so sad it's taken this long to get you on here.
I am too, actually. Here's what's funny, and I think I want to circle back to this later towards the end of the episode. I appreciate what you do, the whole true crime thing, because I don't know if I could stomach that, man. I mean, I like my crime fictional.
I I
Big violent.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, I really do appreciate what you do.
Oh, I very much appreciate that. And for all of you listeners, X is also friends with Iris.
Yeah, Iris and I have been friends for a long
Iris,
time.
yeah, Iris has been on the show a lot, and every time Iris comes on, I get so many love notes. Everyone loves Iris. So, X, it's a big happy family over here, y'all.
It is, and I feel nurtured and supported.
Good. Do I need to start gentle parenting? Did I find my niche?
We listen and we don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge. Oh, well, I'm so glad to have you on here to talk about this. This year has been absolutely terrible so far. I mean, I think that you have two camps of people, right? You have, speaking more for women, at least on my side, you have the women that are like, new year, new me. 2025 is going to be so great, and I'm going to be all better and have good habits, and like that type of person, which they make me want to self-immolate. And then like this year though, I was coming into 2025 like great. I had had my big promotion. I was super happy. I think a lot of you listened on the Patreon episode back in the day. I was in a really toxic relationship a couple years ago, gained a bunch of weight. I've lost a lot of weight over the last year. I was feeling good about myself. I am madly freaking in love. Like, I was coming into 2025 soaring, and then I lost my job 2 days after Christmas. That's not good. It's like, I said 2025 would be the better year and I'd lose the bad habits, but so far I've pretty much just lost my job, my dignity, and almost the will to live. So that's how we are entering 2025.
I mean, I drank a case of garage beer last night, so what can I say?
Right. So how about you? Did you have any New Year's resolutions on your side, or do you not, subscribe to that nonsense?
I know myself well enough to know that if I resolve to do something, it probably is not going to happen. So,
Really?
yeah, well, I mean, baby steps, like people are like, it's New Year's Day. I'm going to go to fucking Planet Fitness and I'm going to lift all the weight and tread all the mills. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Wait at least 2-3 weeks before you start in on anything. I mean, do I want to go back on keto? Sure, I do. I like eating keto. I like eating clean that way. Am I making a big pot of beef stew and sticky rice for dinner tonight? You bet your ass, because you know what? It's only the 9th. Give me until March before I start just eating nothing but, sausage and steak.
I mean, I more power to you. I decided, I was feeling a little, I don't know, idealistic, I guess. And then 2025 hit, all this crap has been going down. And I'm like, you know what? It's not going to be, it's definitely going to be a new year, new me, but this new me is going to be worse. Like, it's going to be worse. Like, I'm just embracing it at this point. I'm embracing it.
I'm kind of like, new year, old me. So what?
Yeah.
It's worked. Yeah. It's worked so far. Why stop?
Right? Oh, so yeah, if any of you guys have like fun New Year's resolutions, or if you still have and retained your will to live 9 days into the new year, please let me know what your secret is.
If you had resolutions and have already broken them, send those in too, because that's also extremely fun.
Yes, I would love to go through a list of broken New Year's resolutions. But remember, we listen and we don't judge.
That's right. We don't judge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Actually, we do just silently. We don't judge out loud. But inside, we're like, oh my God, what the fuck? What a garbage person is this?
Oh my God, it's so true, though. Oh. I don't know, though, on TikTok and Facebook and whatnot, the reels of the we listen and we don't judge, and then it's just friends sitting around telling each other really just horrible things that they've done or said and whatnot. And it's like, I'm sitting here judging. I am judging. Just like, what kind of person are you? Jesus Christ. Don't get
Exactly.
it.
It's like we listen and we don't judge. By the way, I let your husband fist my ass at the New Year's Eve party.
Right. Oh, okay. But and then when someone gets upset, they're like, remember, no, we listen and we don't judge.
And that's how you get cases for your true crime show.
Oh
Because
God, right.
they didn't judge, but then they shoved that person into the trunk of their car and drove it into a lake.
Right. Put them through a wood chipper. Oh God. Speaking of wood chippers and the shit show that is 2025, let's talk about some stuff that has happened. Where do you want to start, sir?
I was going to take notes. I really, really was. But then things just kept happening, and I sort of became overwhelmed by the weird awfulness. So I reckon we'll just take shit as it comes, and let's start with New Year's. Let's New Orleans. Let's just start with Louisiana because it seems to be the toxic hotspot of 2025 so far.
Yeah.
So, what was it? New Year's celebration in New Orleans, and some asshole ran a rented truck into a whole group of people, killed 15 of them, including himself, and injured 35. I think this is in the French Quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Bourbon Street, yep.
yeah, Bourbon Street. Now, if you listen to some media outlets, they will tell you that this person had an ISIS flag on the back of their truck, which was later hidden, so nobody made that connection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not. I've seen photos. I don't trust anything anymore. All I know is that that's a lot of people who died who shouldn't have because they were just trying to have a damn good time, and that sucks.
No, it's incredibly sad, and all hell literally broke loose, you know? I mean, it was absolutely awful. And it was 40. Okay, so the suspect was 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. He was a U.S. citizen from Texas. He was also prior military. And like you said, his pickup truck, which apparently he rented it, as far as what I believe the FBI last said. And the ISIS thing is so interesting in particular. And I would like to preface this entire episode by saying that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've always laughed at that. Just I take things, I subscribe to Occam's razor, right? Like all the time. But with 99.9% of things. But for some reason, I guess since the beginning of December maybe, I trust no one and nothing. And the video for this attack, which you can see multiple videos, some of them are just heinous. You see the truck driving down and accelerating. There's no flag on the vehicle. And then in some other screenshots, they showed an ISIS flag on a, what do you call it, a pole off the side of the back of the truck or something.
Yes.
And then, but we've never actually seen it. And all the crime scene photos, things like that, after he crashed it into a crane, he got out, he started firing at police, they took him out. And magically, the police just decided to cover the ISIS flag immediately, and not a single picture was taken of it.
Well, I mean, like I said, I have seen photos, but I don't know if they're real because they're blurry and smoky a little bit, so I can't tell if it's Photoshop or AI or whatever.
God, AI is terrifying these days. We can definitely delve into that in a moment. But it's it's absolutely crazy. So we started off the new year literally with the attack in New Orleans, which also, by the way, he apparently made multiple recordings, which are widely available on YouTube as well. He put all of I guess these rants or whatever. I mean, he's wearing an office coat. He is sitting in a nice office, and he's talking about how he wanted to kill his family and then go join ISIS.
Well, I mean, that's also a New Year's resolution, right?
I mean, I guess for
I
some that would be.
I'm not trying to make light, but I am. So
no, absolutely.
The morbid sense of humor comes through again. So I don't know if he was a domestic terrorist or not. I mean, it just seems too on the nose, doesn't it? that there's like that he had like a flag. It just seems really obvious. Like, look over here. So I don't know.
It does, and that's the thing. Is like the world is so crazy right now. You don't know what to believe because we're learning just almost on a daily basis at this point, just different things that our government is keeping from us or lying about. And it's
Yes.
crazy. And so it just makes me not trust anything. And I've never been that person. I've always been the, yeah, sure, whatever. FBI said X, Y, and Z. Homeland Security said X, Y, or Z. President said this, sure. And now it's like, nope, I don't believe any of you with anything. I
Right.
wouldn't trust you to take care of my dog.
We've always been at war with Eurasia. Yeah.
Right? I mean, it seems like the easy scapegoat and boogeyman, you know?
Mhm. Tenuous connections, because when these two events happened, they tried to put them together. But on January 2nd, a dude drove a rented Tesla and parked in front of, was it a hotel or a casino? One of Trump's properties. And he blew it up real good. He shot himself with a Desert Eagle. The car exploded, injured 7 people, didn't kill anybody except him because, he shot himself.
Mm-hmm.
And again, inside the car, they found military ID, basically untouched.
There's no that okay. This is the rabbit hole that I've been going down for a full week, so I would love to talk this out with you.
Okay.
Because something is so weird and off here. There was a gentleman, and he was a highly decorated special ops dude, too. Matthew Leibelsberger. I mean, he was highly decorated. He'd been deployed multiple places over the world, highly decorated, insane amount of continued education. He specialized in drones.
Oh, this is a fact I did not know.
Yeah, that was his absolute specialty. We're supposed to, I mean, the actual story, right, is that he left his Colorado Springs home the day after Christmas. He got into a fight with his wife over apparent infidelity. He had been apparently cheating on her. And his wife, she had just had a baby. They had a daughter. And they apparently got into this huge fight. She knew that he'd cheated on her. They got into a fight. He just took off. So he then rented a Cybertruck. Just, God, they're so ugly. God, they look like dumpsters on wheels.
Dude, I saw one in the wild for the first time over the past weekend. I'd never seen one in real life before, and it was just sitting at like a stoplight, and I just thought, my God, that looks like a geometry mistake. It's just angular and non-Euclidean, and it looks like it has cheekbones, and those things are disgusting.
They are so gross. So gross. I live in Nashville. I have a visceral reaction every single time I see one here. It's just, no, sir.
Douche canoes with wheels.
Yes. But he decided to get onto the Turo app, and where you can rent it's private renting, basically car rentals. And he rented one, and then he decided to eventually make his way to Vegas. So he parked in front of the Trump Hotel on New Year's Day, basically detonated the explosives after he shot himself in the head with a massive Desert Eagle. If you don't know what a Desert Eagle is, look it up, because that was, would you call that overkill?
Oh, absolutely.
It got the job done, I guess.
I mean,
but
good grief, if you shoot yourself and then blow up the car, yeah, you're making double sure.
he is making sure it is done. There wasn't a lot of information that came out about it, but it was really weird, right? Like, because he blew up the car, but it was very clear that there were fireworks and things like that in the car, right? In the video, it's very clear that it wasn't just a car fire. Like, there were devices in the car.
You can see the fireworks bouncing off of the pavement.
Yeah, exactly. And so people were wondering, is this, an anti-Trump attack? What exactly is this? And then information about him starts pouring out. So, obviously Tesla, Elon Musk, Trump, was this a form of protest? But again, he was an active member of the special forces. His friend said that he was quote direct quote Rambo type patriot. He was a huge Trump supporter. And so people, I guess, just like didn't understand why he did it. And then more information starts coming out. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention the Sean Ryan podcast debacle bullshit, because I am still to this day unsure of what the hell is happening there.
Yeah, same. I don't know. You listen to the show and it's just like he's one of these guys like, I have very secret information. I have guests that have very secret information. By the way, please subscribe to my newsletter and invest in gold. I have an affiliate link.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, so Sean Ryan is basically ex-military himself. He is, I guess, he has some really cool guests on. Like, he has some really, really cool guests on. But what I don't understand is that he, like X just said, he kind of has, I have very special information, or I have X, Y, and Z. He has Sarah Adams on quite frequently, who I'm actually fascinated by her. She basically is ex-CIA, specialized in hunting down Taliban. And so you learn a lot from, I guess, the military point of view on his podcast. But, you know, as you can imagine, it's kind of maybe pandering to the Proud Boy 3%er crowd, maybe a little bit. Would you say that's accurate?
That seems accurate, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that circle, or the ones that, like, you know, come to him, I guess, his demographic, I guess. But so apparently, and this is verified by the FBI, about like 3 days before this, Matthew Leibelsberger reached out to a friend of Sean Ryan, another gentleman who's large in the military social media community, and is like, I have something I need to say. I need you to get me over to Sean Ryan. And he didn't believe it at first. They went back and forth. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but basically, long story short, he does actually end up getting connected, and he sends over his like an email manifesto, like saying why he did what he did. He sent this email, and I want to read some of it because it's absolutely batshit. The last episode, or next to last episode that I did, we talked about drones, which I know, X, I'm dying to talk about the drones with you. So this is going to tie into that. But really quickly, I'm going to read some of this email. He said, so this Tesla bomber dude sent this to the Paul Ryan podcast. This was sent on December 31st. In case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexican border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 Black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with quote-unquote drones is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history, the U.S. Only we in China have this capability. Our Opsin location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic Ocean from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they use the balloon for Signet and ISR, or JSR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of these balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircrafts that they are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted to. It's checkmate. The U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we were employing it and weaponizing it, and how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere on the East Coast. And then he goes into like some, he claims that he had knowledge of a huge war crime incident in Afghanistan that he was part of, that he felt bad for it. And then he said that he needed to basically more or less get this information out about the drones.
I'm very confused by the unlimited payload, because I don't see how that is possible unless there's some sort of weaponry that we are not currently aware of. Like, I don't know, even if it was like an EMP, wouldn't that just cause the drones to fall down too? So I don't know what he's talking about as far as that unlimited payload. Also, we've been talking about, gravitic propulsion systems since the 1950s. This is not new. This isn't a new
Mm-hmm.
thing that we just suddenly came up with. We've been talking about this for decades. Why now? I guess is my question. Especially since there was a huge wave of UAP sightings back in the 50s as well. You can go back and see photos of UFOs over the White House.
Yes.
So why
I
is
love too the retro. Like to your point though, like we've been studying this since the 50s, and a lot of the 50s kind of were like the alien abduction, right? The alien sighting, UFO sighting hotspot, and 99% of that was our crafts that we were researching and building, trying to figure out this shit.
yeah? So I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be the same thing here. Like I've always thought maybe it was some sort of geo mapping project since it popped up again recently. But but now the drones are, God, they're everywhere. So
I've seen one. I mean, haven't you seen one now at this point too?
no, and I've looked.
I had one fly over my house like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I remember telling you immediately. It sounded, I think I talked about it on a previous episode too, but like I was just chilling in my bedroom listening to some vinyl and I was on the phone and then all of a sudden my house started shaking and it sounded like a jet was coming over me and I was like, what the fuck? And so I ran outside and because the only time I've ever heard that sound before, I was actually experiencing an earthquake. It was really weird.
I know that there were some sighted. This is going to sound funny. There were some sighted over a Target store that's like 6 miles away from my house. I didn't see them, but it's like, why would you be over? Do you need Starbucks? Do you need to get some skinny jeans? Why are you over at Target? That's hilarious to me. Um, so yeah, they've been close, but I've not seen one in person. And of course, people are like, "Oh, it's not drones, it's paper lanterns." Fuck, it is. No, it's not.
Yeah, if I see one more person call these Chinese lanterns, I'm going to fucking go on a spree and not a shopping spree.
Let's jump to January 4th. Drones were sighted over Denmark, of all places. And I can't pronounce this. I'm going to slaughter this, but it was the port city of Koge. That's way too many vowels. Koege. So I don't know how to say that. But it was southwest of Copenhagen. And they've also seen drones over military bases around the world, like the Ramstein base. Yeah.
Yeah, Germany has seen so many of them.
Hmm.
And Germany
Yeah.
is like, we have no idea what these are.
They're like, is it Russian sabotage? What is this? Is this what's going on? So
Well, you and I have talked about this at length. Like, X and I literally just message and talk about this shit all the time. And I was on board with you. I thought initially, I guess like mid-December when all of these reports started coming out, I said, okay, that's a weird way for our US government to do geomapping, but sure, I guess, because that's the only thing that would make sense. But it's the way and the movements you start having commercial airline pilots come out, and the audio release from their calls to traffic controllers of I'm seeing some weird shit now. You have people who are actually videoing out of plane windows the drones, and they're moving on a dime. Like they're going 180 degrees in less than a split second. Like they are performing maneuvers that, to at least our knowledge, right, our peon knowledge, shouldn't even be humanly possible. Or I guess even most in the military, even. Most people maybe don't have the security clearance or aren't aware of systems that can work like that. And
yeah,
gravitic propulsion, like X said, we've been studying it since the 1950s. And if you kind of in layman's terms, I mean, I guess it's like Santa Claus, right? Like he uses gravitic propulsion, to do that. And I guess the more scientific way to describe that is scientifically weight equals mass by gravity, times gravity. And this is why in space we're weightless, because there's zero gravity, but we still have the same amount of mass, right? So 250-pound person in space will still be weightless, even though, there's still the same amount of mass there. So gravitic propulsion is basically like, okay, cool. What if we could manipulate gravity so that we could generate lift limited only by whatever, mechanism governs that? Like, I assume like amount of energy or whatever. So basically you could just raise or lift things without, care, like, Santa Claus, or I guess ships and drones and planes and things like that. And then that would also enable you, based on whatever energy source it is, to perform maneuvers that we are seeing that some of these drones are making.
And that makes me consider another point based on what you just said that I had never thought of before. What if the drones run on Christmas spirit?
Well, where is Buddy the elf when we fucking need him?
He's in Central Park, apparently, or trying to sit on Bob Newhart's lap.
Oh, okay. And for the record, Elf is the best Christmas movie. I'm sorry. I'm sure you disagree with me, but I love it so much.
I love it too. So if there's a minority, we're in it.
Good. Glad to be here with you. And that just means that we're not going to fight, at least in this episode.
No. That'll come later. We'll just make shit up to fight about. No, Robin.
Oh, man. But it's crazy. What do you think?
What do I think? What do I think the drones are? I am confused because I felt like we had an idea. I felt like it was like some sort of advanced, almost like a LiDAR system, where you could get up to a certain height and then it would, whatever the waves, I don't have the actual word for it, but the waves would penetrate the ground and tell you what's underneath. And maybe they were looking for minerals or, who knows, lithium.
Or there was the speculation that there apparently was a lost, like some nuclear material that they were basically aware of being trafficked into the U.S. I can't remember if it was, terrorism or whatever, but supposedly that did actually happen. It was on the news, and initially they thought that that's what the drones were. They were scanning for radiation, basically, to see if they could find these materials, but that makes no sense either to me.
It makes sense to a certain degree, but it seems like that would be something that would be handled by like a CIA underground operation, infiltrators into terrorist groups trying to find that stuff. Having a worldwide sweep for radioactive material, you're going to get a lot of false positives too, I would think. So I don't know.
Oh, I would imagine.
I can't that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. The other thing that doesn't make sense to me is the sound of the drones, which you heard, and like you said, it shook your whole house. How is it that we or somebody is able to have a gravitic propulsion system, but they can't fix their muffler?
Right. And then another point we're going to, be talking about probably here in a moment, but like the wildfires in California right now. How do we have technology to do all sorts of stuff? Like, we build enough bombs to blow up every single civilization in the entire world, but we can't put out forest fires.
And we can't do anything really to not eliminate, but reduce the cause or the possibility of them happening. That's interesting to me too. I guess is it drought that's causing it in California? Because I see a lot of people saying that it's climate change that is causing these fires. And if that's the case, that's completely our fucking fault. We did that. We absolutely did that. And you can't apologize enough for fires that are basically threatening to wipe out a huge part of Los Angeles County.
It's so incredibly sad. I have a lot of friends who live in LA, none that have lost their homes yet, but it's just, I'm getting, on the ground updates from it and pictures, and it's just so incredibly sad. It could be global warming. I mean, I lived in Oregon, right? And I lived in Portland, and we had the forest fires in, was it 2020 or 2019 that took over basically like a third of the state.
I remember that.
And I had to wear I was living there, and I had to wear a gas mask inside my own fucking house. Like we had, all the windows and everything taped up. We had the doors taped up, couldn't go outside. Dogs had to pee indoors. It was absolutely insane. And I wasn't in the path of a fire. I think the closest one was like 15 miles away. But like, I just can't imagine or fathom what they're going through. I mean, of course, Trump blames. He told Gavin Newsom to clean the forest floors, and that would have taken care of all of it.
Yes. Just somebody with a mop. Just go on in.
Right.
Just suck up all those leaves and pine needles. I mean, I've lived through a house fire, and it's awful. It's terrifying. There really aren't words for it. Just, 1 second you've got all your shit, and then the next second you don't.
I can't.
It's horrible, and yeah, I don't really know how to describe it.
That is awful. Yeah, I can't imagine. And it's just so much stuff. But circling back really, really quick to the drones and whatnot, just do you think we're ever going to get an answer about this? Because what I find so fascinating, and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but what I find so fascinating here is that U.S. government officials are asking for answers. The New Jersey a New Jersey sheriff, they had an industrial grade drone, for his sheriff department, and he ended up putting it up in the air trying to get pictures and photos and stuff of it. And he said, like, we have, top of the line industrial grade, basically, drone that you can buy possibly on the market, and it couldn't even keep up with it. It just disappeared, and he had footage of that. Like, it just, kind of darted all over the place, like couldn't, do it. Hundreds of officials have said, hey, can you please give us an answer here? At this point, there's been thousands of eyewitnesses. And I feel like the government, especially, the Biden administration, they are gaslighting the shit out of us.
I agree. And I don't think we're going to know what they are until they do something besides fly. If they have any other capabilities, we're not going to have any idea what they are until they actually do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because one big thing that people are claiming, and there are several videos online, I know that you and I have talked about this and seen them as well, is the fog.
Oh, yes.
The fog.
The fog and the stank. There's a stench there's a stench that is associated with this. So apparently, in some areas, particularly Texas, from what I recall, people are saying that the drones are spraying some sort of liquid, I guess, some sort of chemical that is causing they call it a fog. It doesn't really look like a fog. It's kind of like a misty smoke. It's like when you open the door to a dive bar and everything just kind of goes rolling out into the streets. That's what it looks like. But it's droplets that are just suspended, almost like when a cloud gets real close to the earth. But it apparently smells bad. And you and I saw that video of it left behind some sort of residue in a woman's swimming pool in Texas. And it looked like styrofoam. Well,
yes.
But at the same time, it was in little strips. So it kind of looked like egg drop soup, except white. I don't know. It was very odd. I don't remember ever seeing anything like it. So I don't know if the fog has caused that, or if there was some kind of weird, I don't know, alginate in the pool already. But whatever the drones are, they are apparently dropping something. I don't know if it's toxic or if it's some sort of, my question when I saw that TikTok video was if there had been a fire in the area, because it almost looks like that flame suppressing foam that you would spray onto a forest fire. So I don't know.
It's bizarre, but there have been many videos at this point showing the drones appearing to spray something. And then, I mean, it's always, and especially I believe in like New Jersey and Virginia, people are getting sick, like sick. But then again, we are also in the middle of flu season, right? And we're having a huge uptick in flu naturally,
Flu season,
aside.
rotavirus, RSV.
The COVID.
Yeah, it's all...
Yes. All of that could be explained away naturally, you know?
Sure.
But the fog is so fucking weird. I saw another video, and I believe this one was in New Mexico. And, I mean, it was warm, right? But the fog, it was not cold, no snow, nothing like that. And the guy was walking through the fog, and he was moving his hands. And the way that it just kind of clung to his hand, I mean, it was thick. Thick with 2 C's. Thick. And it was just really weird, the condensation and the way that it was like clinging to his hands. And he's like, I've never witnessed this in my entire life. And I've tried to research and ask friends who are far smarter than I am in terms of science and the weather and things like that. What kind of phenomenon, naturally or organically could this be? And no one knows. This is weird.
I think it has to be something synthetic. Otherwise, it wouldn't cling like that. I mean, we're adults. We know what condensation feels like. We've been through fog. We've stood in fog. We've seen movies about the fog. I mean, the whole thing. This is something different. And I don't know. I mean, I guess you could relate it to, if chemtrails are real, perhaps. There's that possibility, but it's too coincidental that this is happening while the drones are lighting up the skies.
I know, and isn't it amazing that we've gotten no answers, and the coverage of it has just largely fallen away?
Yeah, and I think that there's a distraction factor to that, to distract us from other things that are potentially going on. The media seems to have taken the government's sort of explanation and been like, okay, well, obviously this is what it is. These are just drones that people are flying around. They're personal. They're not government mandated or facilitated or anything like that. And I just, I think there's more. I really
No, there
do.
is more. I mean, you heard about the testing with the particulates that have been left over, like that lady's foam in her pool, or it almost looks like hail, but it isn't hail, right?
Right.
People have actually tested it, and there are higher levels than normal of radiation.
Oh, good. Boy, that...
Yeah. Yeah, people have been independently testing it. You can go on podcasts, you can look it up, like verifiable. People have tested this, and it's higher levels of radiation than normal. I should get the actual breakdown because a couple of these reports have been fully posted online. But it's like, what the fuck is it?
And where is it coming from, and why is it happening now? Is that just in the
Right.
States, or is that on a global level?
That's the only tests that I've seen have been done in the U.S.
Okay. I don't know why that seemed important to me at the time, but I was just curious.
Yeah, but then you have, UFOologists, right? We have, Stephen Greer, love him or hate him. A lot of people can't stand him, think he's a grifter, so on and so forth. But, he basically was an ER doctor, ER physician, and he's been obsessed with UFOs, and he retired to basically dedicate his whole life to UFOs. He also does documentary movies on the topic, and especially the topic of disclosure, right? Like when our government is going to tell us that, aliens exist, or non-human entities, as it were. And I mentioned on the podcast episode a couple weeks ago, too, that you have, a bunch of other people in the community are saying that 2025 is it. Like before the drones were even spotted, I think they've been saying this for like a year, that in 2025, we're going to start seeing aircrafts up and down our coasts. And then eventually disclosure will come because the U.S. government can't hide it anymore. And I was reading all about that like 6-7 months ago, before all of this the drone shit happened. And so I got really, really excited by that. I was like, man, if this comes into fruition, I'm going to just, die. But of happiness. But I don't know. Do you think that there's any chance in Snowball's Hell that this could be non-human in origin?
I think there's a very slight chance.
Slight.
Yeah, and I hate saying that because, like you grew up watching old sci-fi movies, so this could be... I mean, it smells a lot like the plot for The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is essentially a happy film. It's at least a hopeful film, and that would be an ideal outcome for all of this. But then again, what if the people who are saying that it's aliens are right and they keep getting shouted down and you end up like Kevin McCarthy, an invasion of the body snatchers, just running around the highway yelling, they're here, they're already here, oh God. So again, I don't think we're going to know until they actually do something. And it's probably going to be violent. It's
You
probably
think
going,
so?
I think it's going to, and I think the first contact idea is very sweet. I like that idea a lot, but I also think it's probably more likely that there's going to be a crash of one of the drones or an actual attack on a city somewhere, and that's when we're really going to figure out, oh, here's what's happening. So, kind of waiting for the hammer to fall there.
Honestly, can we get like cool aliens? I don't want A Quiet Place aliens.
I don't know. I don't want death angels dropping down from the sky. No, I want the. I'm with you. I want the cool ones. I want the ones you have like, silver suits and bald heads. And they're just like, we come in peace, and they raise their hand in some kind of weird gang sign. I want that.
I don't want the fourth kind under the skin, although Scarlett Johansson can, put me into a black pool of goo anytime she wants. But
Be the last black pool of goo you ever got in.
Ever. But yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting. It's so weird. I feel like we're at such a weird crossroads. It just doesn't feel real. You know what I mean? It just feels like 2025 just feels like an extension of 2024.
Yeah, like there wasn't really a new year. Like we're just all kind of hanging around watching the simulation fall apart at the seams.
Yes. That's exactly what it feels like.
Oh, I think it's interesting how half the country is on fire and then the other half is getting winter storms.
Oh, okay. Half the country is literally getting railed by winter storm right now. Like I know you and I are both preparing for the big storm tonight.
Oh yeah, dude. Like if if I could shoot it and make it go away, I would, because I live in Knoxville and we're not that far away from each other, but I live down in a holler, man. If I get snowed in, you're not going to see my ass until March. Just, I'm sorry, we can't get out. I know it's 2027, but we still can't get out.
Man, I'm kind of in the same, not quite in the same boat, but I live on a huge, huge hill. And so a couple years, like 2 years ago, we had it was a snowstorm, but because of, I guess, perfect storm here, if I live on a huge hill and then we have a lot of trees on the roads, it just freezes over. So like, it just freezes, and we don't, obviously in Tennessee, we don't have plow trucks, really on the, residential roads and things like that. So I'm just looking forward to basically being stuck in my house for the next 5 or 6 days, unable to leave.
Yeah, same. Extremely same. Oh, I know, because we were talking about Louisiana at the top of the show, and we had our first verified death from bird flu also in Louisiana.
Y'all, what is going on in Louisiana right now?
Jeez, man, I have no idea. It's just, didn't their attorney general or somebody unalive themselves recently?
Yes.
So you don't think of Louisiana as being a place where, they are covering the things up, but it could very well be. I don't know. Things are going insane. And here, let me go on a little rant if you don't care. Because with all the stuff that is going on and the media coverage of it all, it's very difficult to figure out what's what. This is no secret. I used to write for Newsweek, and I did it for a little bit over a year. And I was on the night shift, and I covered the politics beat. And this is during the first Trump administration. And I essentially, anytime you would ask the White House press office anything, they would stonewall you. I remember somebody asking the press office a question one time, and they literally wrote back, "Nobody cares," and refused to answer the question. I'm serious. So they were very unhelpful. And as a former reporter, it was more aggregation of news than anything else. Um, I realized that it's easy to fall into some despair because even from when I was doing it professionally, it, shit has just gotten worse and worse. So I think if you're worried about what is happening and or how to deal, I have tips. I don't want to be that guy, but I have tips. And the first tip is real simple: check your sources. Make sure you're dealing with somebody reliable. I always used AP, Associated Press. I used Reuters, or I used the German site Deutsche Welles. Those always seem to be really on point and professional and not given to editorializing or bullshit. When you're looking in the face of disasters, the wildfires, I can't say that word, wildfires in the Palisades, or the snow, or we're still dealing with the aftermath of the hurricane here in this part of the country. If it makes you feel better, help how you can. Just volunteer, donate, signal boost, whatever you can do without depleting your own energy resources, do it.
And I think that's so important to that point too. People make fun of people who on social media just repost, right? That they're not putting in their time or volunteer work or effort. Or I find that's especially true on the liberal side of the aisle. You know, okay, well, you're
Yeah.
just going to repost or talk about it. You're not going to actually get in the trenches and do something. And it's like, not everybody can, you know, not everyone has the ability, for whatever reason, to actually go out on the ground and do whatever, you know, they think they can. So, but
I mean, dude, we've got one car. I can't drive to every protest I want to go to. You know, I got to go to the store. I got to go to the dump. I got to share a vehicle. I can't.
yeah,
I just can't
exactly.
make it everywhere.
But I think just getting things into public view is just so important. And oh, the the fact checkers disappearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Even worse.
terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's awful. It means that even more so than now, people are going to be getting their news from memes or from um, inaccurate sources, bot farms, other foreign entities, perhaps, just to spread misinformation and disinformation. So again,
Yeah.
check your fucking sources and and cross check them against other sources. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. And here's the thing: what's so it's terrifying is that so Meta, you know, the parent company of Facebook, they instated fact checkers on there. So like you may have, you know, come across an article or a link and it says that it's true or false, or, you know, at least maybe we'll note the discrepancy in it, right? So these were basically put in place in 2016 because of Donald Trump. And I don't care if you voted for him. The man is a fucking liar. He lies about everything. A lot of the right wing newspapers and websites and blogs also make up an insane amount of fucking shit about him. And they had to put fact checkers in on Facebook. Well, they chose to basically call out the bullshit there. And so the recent election, Mark Zuckerberg came out and announced that they are doing away with this magically after Trump's recent election, the second one. And Mark Zuckerberg said the recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. Now, it's also amazing that Meta and, you know, Zuckerberg both got a huge quote unquote donation from Trump backed organizations, which amazing. But this is going to impact Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.
Yes.
You know, Trump constantly, was on them all the time talking about they have an anti-conservative bias, which, you know, maybe Twitter got popped, I believe, with that pre-Elon Musk. But it's going to be the Wild West on the internet again.
Yeah. And you're not going to know what to believe because it's all going to be, well, not all of it. Some of it's obvious. You know, like if you see a picture of of somebody and it's, oh god, okay, true life example. my dad messaged me a few days ago, and he was like, "Did you hear Ronda Rousey and Roman Reigns got married?" And I was like, "No, they didn't." And I went looking, and I found one picture on Facebook that showed Rousey and Reigns like gazing lovingly into each other's eyes, and it was a bridal sort of thing, and it was so obviously not real. I was like, "No, Dad, stop. Don't fall for everything you see. This is completely untrue, and it's demonstrably false." So,
Demonstrably false.
yeah, but it's going to happen. It's going to keep getting worse. So,
I mean, and I think we've all, we all have older family members too, like Nana, 90-year-old Nana's like, well, I saw on freedomeagle.com/US that, Barack Obama was a love child of Osama bin Laden. It's true. And it's like, no, Nana, let's get you to bed. Back
right,
to the home.
right.
But
I got
just
your applesauce. Come on.
Yeah, put in your teeth. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to see so much more of that. And it's not just, obviously I'm not a Trump fan, clearly, but it's not just Trump. It's everything else too, right? Like everything else in the world, news, the drones, healthcare, bird flu, COVID, like everything else is going to be impacted by this. And it's not just a political issue at all. It's awful.
It is. And I hate to sound like one of those people too that's just like, "Oh, you can't trust anything." But I feel like it's getting to that point. I feel like there are so many, how do I want to say this? I feel like people want to distract ordinary citizens from what is going on so much that they've lost track of what is actually going on. So now everything is a distraction. Everything is a fireworks display. Everything is a Ferris wheel. And there's not really too many ways to know what's actually happening.
And will we ever? Like, I'm at the point now where, I mean, I've always kind of leaned this way, but I just want to go live in the woods in an A-frame house off the grid.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm so tired of people. I am so tired of people as a whole.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, if you are the same way, you don't have to go to a protest. You can signal boost. It's fine.
Right? Signal boosting is important.
I don't want to be around all those people. And it's not because of what they believe. It's just like, people,
God, I posted a meme yesterday on Facebook, and it was a Beetlejuice meme, and it was like, every time I go out into the world and he says, "God, there are too many people on this earth."
I feel the same way. I really do.
Yes.
Just like, I have like very few people I actually want to see in person. So it's easy to fall into despair right now. You can either take everything for granted, or you can just get real depressed. I don't know. But I think that one of the important things about getting through this year, whatever happens, is just to not give up. And I'm not saying you got to go fight or anything like that. I just mean, whatever it takes to keep your hope alive, do it. We've all got different coping mechanisms. It might mean drinking the night away if it means you'll have something to hold on to in the morning.
No, it's true. And I mean, it goes for everything too. I think a lot of people lost hope during COVID, right? Like, shut in, all of that, the lockdowns, and a lot of people lost hope. And, a lot of people turned to, Netflix or Friends or learning how to bake sourdough bread, or something like that. And it's so crazy that our news cycle now is instant, right? Any mass shooting that we have at a school, the terror attacks on, in January, I mean, within seconds, it's blasted all over the internet. And I have a whole handful of friends that have actually completely disconnected. Like, they'll have Messenger, but got rid of their socials. And they're like, you know what? There's nothing that I can do. There's absolutely nothing that I can do other than survive in this world. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to focus or just constantly read about awful shit anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to have it. I'm nosy. I'm a nosy bitch. And I have to know what's going on around me.
I spent a long time after I left Newsweek. I spent a lot of time just like, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything. Just let me watch movies that are 40 years old. I want to listen to like the first 3 Cure albums, and that's it. I didn't want anything new. But now I'm just like, well, no, we got to figure this out.
But really quickly, do you not like the Cure's new album?
I mean, it's Disintegration Part 2, so it's fine. I like it fairly well, but I will say this, and this is really funny. When my wife and I got together and combined our music collection, we had 9 copies of Disintegration between us.
God, that is true love if I've
And
ever heard
I
it.
don't even know how we got all those copies of Disintegration. Oh God, I'm afraid this one disc that has Plain Song on it is gonna just self-destruct. I don't know.
That's like my ex and I, when we moved in together, we had 4 copies of Martyrs.
Are you serious? That is so
Yep.
funny. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We had 4 copies of Martyrs. Obscure random horror movie that
Oh
most people
my
haven't
gosh.
seen. I mean, I guess it's not so
Well,
obscure
no,
these days.
no.
But...
Of course, the remake's just fucking terrible. But yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up. That's anathema. I apologize.
I'm hurting right now. I'm trying to collect myself.
It's okay.
I don't have Tourette's, but I may actually have just gotten it. Fuck. Okay.
Oh.
All
right. Well, not just 4 copies of Martyrs is impressive because again, why do you need that many copies of, finding religious enlightenment by being skinned? I don't know. That's fine. But you know what?
Oh.
I don't know, dude. I've never seen you this happy, so fuck Martyrs.
Thank you.
Well, it's true. You're very you're upbeat and you laugh a lot more than you used to. So that pleases me, from a distance.
Well, I very much appreciate that. And honestly, like a couple of you have reached out on Instagram and they're like, and you're like, you look and seem so happy. And yes, I am so happy right now. I am so happy. And then, 2025 is really giving it to us all. So, but thank you. I haven't been this happy in a very long time.
Good. And you know what? If you can stay happy through this coming year, good. You've accomplished something.
I'm trying to lock it down, X. I'm trying to lock it down.
Totally understood.
I can't believe that like you had that influence over my relationship. So backstory, seeing a girl that I saw a long time ago as well. And it's kind of like, feel like it's a meant to be situation. And I was talking to X about it. I'm like, God, I just love her so much. And X like, you need to lock it down. I haven't seen you this happy. Like you said the same things like a couple, weeks ago. And so it's like, you need to lock it down. So I told, the girl this. And so now our entire language is about, marriage and proposal is locking it down. So your words, sir, will probably be in a forthcoming proposal.
Oh my God. That's wonderful. I feel really good about that,
You better be there. You better be at the wedding, a big gay wedding.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, my wife will be there too, I bet.
Wait, can either one of you officiate?
We both can officiate.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, we both can officiate.
All right. Well, you're about to officiate a big gay wedding.
Sweet. That's fantastic. I will.
Just bring your copies of The Cure. I'll bring copies of Martyrs, and it'll be a big party.
And there you go. We'll just.
Does that not sound like the most depressing night ever?
It does. For our reception, we're watching Salo.
God.
Enjoy the food.
I was about to say, can we watch it after we eat, please? After. Oh my God, please.
Oh
after.
my God, that's funny.
Oh. But I hope you're 2025, and thank you for your tips. And I mean, that's, again, I think to your biggest point, too, is please check your sources, folks. Like, please. I don't even trust the biggest sources myself fully, but, like, it's better than freedomeagle.com that your, Nana's dog groomer's cousin is pulling off to, for all these conspiracy theories.
Yeah, exactly. America the Greatest, and it's spelled GRATEST. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, God.
.GOP.
All right. I mean, it typically is. Let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, my God.
We need, who I miss? You know who I miss most of all? Do you remember in the election, I think it was like when Obama was running, the rent is too damn high, dude?
Yes.
I fucking miss him. Why can't we have funny things like that anymore?
Yeah. God, we've lost our sense of humor in this country.
We really have everything. Like, okay, everyone knows, like, I'm far left. I'm pretty far left, but like, oh my God, the Democratic Party and my fellow liberals, like, I want to slap the shit out of them half the time. We have completely lost our sanity and sense of humor on our side as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we have. See, just very few things are fun anymore. You got to take fun where you find it.
It just so happens that my idea of fun is slightly offensive. So.
Yeah, well, same. You know? Unfortunately, I can't go running naked through the Target while the drones are overhead looking for Starbucks. But I will say this. I've had a lot of fun talking to you today. This has been probably the highlight of my day. So thank you for even asking me to come on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. It's been way too long, and I would absolutely love to have you come on and talk movies, because I know that's kind of where our relationship and friendship began.
That's true.
Was the movie world.
That's true. I would love to do that. Yeah, just anytime you want to get into that conversation, I'll be happy to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all of our listeners, I'm going to drop all the links to X if you want to read his musings, his work, follow him. I will be putting those in the show notes, so feel free just to take a look. He is an incredible human being, and I am honored to call you a friend.
You are my friend too, and that makes me very, very happy. That is an honor.
Me too. Thank you.